Hi everyone, welcome to this week's market review. Been a couple weeks since I'd done one of these. Was on holiday, and then last week I was just getting back into the flow of the market. Expect YouTube content to be back in full force, weekly YouTube updates, Twitch streams every Wednesday, and obviously if you do like the content here, make sure you drop a like and subscribe. Let's get into the video. Before I start, I want to remind you that this information is for educational purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor, and please always consult a qualified financial advisor before making investment decisions. Currently running a campaign with Blofin right now. You can win up to a MacBook Pro and even a waterfront apartment worth over 100,000 USDT. You can use the link at the top of my referral to get access to this campaign and start trading with me there. I've been using Blofin for a while now and really enjoying it. Current trade I'm in right now on River. We're up over around 18 to 20% on River right now. I'm trading on Blofin. The trade was also given in the Wealth Group Discord. Anyway, let's get into the video. Let's just talk about the market. We're going to be discussing Bitcoin and gold. We're going to be discussing silver, metals, ETH. I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet. As always, I try and not overrun, but end up overrunning. So something I've been talking a lot about in the past sort of few market reports I've done is this rotation, right? And obviously this is the rotation that everyone is sort of talking about and looking at, expecting. You know, we've got silver pushing over $100 now, gold peaking over 5,000, you know, and meanwhile crypto is still down only for the most part, right, on the higher time frame. Obviously we've seen some bounces across the board from crypto, but you know, overall, we have been ranging on BTC. We've been in this range since November, and the higher time frame does remain down. I've been discussing the Bitcoin rotation a lot, and you know, it's still way too early to say whether the true rotation will come. And I was discussing it on the stream in the Discord today, and we were saying, you know, like, okay, if they did rotate our metals, you know, will they come to Bitcoin? Obviously, they can go to other metals, like they could rotate our silver to other metals that have underperformed. You know, Bitcoin doesn't really fit into that physical store of value, right? It's a digital store of value, so it's slightly different in that sense. But something I want to comment on here, and I've been discussing a little bit on Twitter as well lately, is the fact that on average we sort of see Bitcoin go in a bear market against gold for, you know, around 12 months, 13 months on average. We can see the bear market 2013 to 2014 that lasted for 14 months. Again here, from 2017 to 2018 lasted 12 months. 2021 to 2022 lasted 13 months, and we are now pushing into that 13-month region again. Currently we're on 13 months. If we push following this monthly close that we got coming up in January, we're going to be pushing into 14 months. So it's really something we have to consider. And obviously the difference is that Bitcoin has just not really been going down like it's done in the past. And in different cases, the fact is gold and, you know, a silver, if we look at the silver versus Bitcoin chart, we can see that this is just breaking like a multi-yearly trend, right? And it's more so the fact that, you know, Bitcoin is weak, and just silver and metal, like metals, are just especially strong right now, and that is why we are suffering. And obviously with fear, you know, like the dollar right now potentially breaking a very, very long-term trend, a trend it's been in since 2008, right? Over 20 or almost 20 years now, where this trend is potentially breaking on the dollar. So obviously we've got people very fearful to be in fear, and they're flocking to safer stores of values, right? And physical stores of value, which are obviously doing really well right now. So there is the selling point for Bitcoin, is that, you know, we are heavily undervalued against metals, and in previous cases we have bounced back from this. It's just a matter of timing it correctly and not getting your hopes up too early, you know, so to speak, because just because we have historical data here, it doesn't mean the facts that we are necessarily going to bottom, but we can at least look for it and expect it and work with it in that sense. So another thing I want to comment on is the Z score, which is now peaking down into this -2 region, which tells us that prices are heavily overextended and undervalued, right? When we're above 2, prices are heavily overpriced, and below 2 are heavily undervalued. And this is the lowest. And when we do close down here in a few days, this is going to be the lowest monthly close ever in history on on the Bitcoin against gold chart. Again, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to completely bottom here, but we could at least start to look for some reversion very soon. I do think that BTC is worth some well overdue some relief, and it is likely going to happen once we see a call off from gold and silver, which right now are obviously up only. But when we look at in terms of my VWAP system, getting some strong buy signals coming in here on Bitcoin gold chart on the monthly VWAP. If we take a look at gold, we are getting some strong sell signals up here, but you know they're fairly inefficient. You know they last for a minor amount of time, and then price just legs up again. And it's the same with silver right now. Getting some strong sell signals coming in from silver, but overall, you know, no signs of cooling off yet, already bouncing back overnight. And I think if we go to 100 and the reaction into 100 is very poor from something like silver, then we can maybe go into this consolidation, and from there we can start to see some relief for Bitcoin. So now moving on to Bitcoin, as I said, I'm sort of expecting a bottom over the next week or so. Based on previous history, right? The fact that we have a really nice bull div forming on BTC on the weekly time frame right now. On the higher time frame, we have a big 3 drive and bull divergence forming here on Bitcoin against gold, and obviously we're going into that 14 month, that 14 bar, which on average is a bit higher than what we're used to, right? So all to play for here, and I think it is a good time to start looking for a reversal on BTC. So personally, I'm looking for a sweep on BTC into sort of 84 under this low here. This looks like a really nice place to try and get long on Bitcoin for a target back towards 92. And if price can flip 92, there's a good chance BTC is going to trade into sort of 100 to 104K for a good range breakout. The only opposing case why I would, write off the idea that we would go to 84 is if we start to see some stronger structure. Obviously, right now the structure is clearly in a downtrend, right? We have some classic staircase down price action from BTC. If we can invalidate this structure and reclaim sort of 89k, sorry, I would look at chasing along for higher. But in regards to the lower time frame right now, we have this classic sort of price action, right? I've discussed this in the group and also on Twitter a little bit, but this is some classic sort of toppy price action. When you have ETH leading in terms of structure, right, and not percentage, often, you know, ETH will always outperform. ETH could be plus, 4%, and BTC could be plus like 2%, right? This is perfectly fine because ETH will always trade at often like a higher percentage to BTC. But what you don't want to see is when the structure is impaired and there's a difference in structure. And right here you can see there was a high into a lower high, right? And here we can see there was a high into a higher high. Often when you see ETH pushing like this, meanwhile BTC is not responding, I usually use this as sort of an intraday local top sign. So personally, I'm actually looking for some shorts on ETH up here. I think it's a good place for an ETH reversal. Again, sort of similar structure. I think ETH looks good for lower right now. Until it can reclaim 3k. We are trading below this Q4 value area low. We're trading into the developing monthly value area low, which right now you can see has been a key place for ETH throughout this month. Needs to flip here. If ETH can flip above this prime monthly VWAP above 3k, then I'm sure we can leg up on it. But for now, I personally think this is a good place to start looking for a short on it if we get a nice trigger, which we'll have a look on exo charts on the footprint shortly. But yeah, if this structure corrects, right, if BTC goes on to make a higher high here, right, high into a higher high, just how ETH made a higher high here, happy days. This is probably a good sign of strength from Bitcoin as it starts to catch up against ETH. But until this structure is like this, personally, I would be not be looking for fresh longs into this area. We've already had an intraday bounce up. If you want to take fresh longs from here, wait for a flip of 3k on ETH. Flipping 3k would be a good place to go long, and equally for BTC, if it can get above 89k like I just discussed, if it can accept above this 2025 value area low and also this prime monthly VWAP, then there's probably a good chance of price legging up. I like 84k for a few reasons. We have this sort of imbalanced low back here down on the 4 hour. I think if we get a sweep under there, that looks great. Also, that's the minus 2.5 to 3 standard deviations on the monthly, the quarterly and the yearly, obviously, because we are all in the same developing values right now. Following the monthly close, we should have different, or we will have different VWAP values. If we get a move down here, we should get a nice buy trigger. Also, I believe the daily could definitely be more oversold in terms of the Z score. I think this could peak down into the -2, again, similar to what it done back in this low in December and also sort of November. I think that would be a good place to go long, right into this 84-150 area. I'm personally going to start building a long position on a sweep under 87k into 84, unless, as I was just discussing, we get a flip of 89k, then maybe we can write off the scenario of lower for now. So yeah, dollar is breaking down. We have FOMC tomorrow. Looks like there's going to be no change in terms of rates, but the dollar is breaking down. You've got metals rallying super hard, BTC heavily underperforming. Historically, BTC really responds well when the dollar is weak. So the stars are aligning a bit. We just need the metals to cool off, and hopefully some rotation into Bitcoin can happen. In terms of altcoins, they're trading actually really well, despite, you know, the chop from BTC and ETH. We've been trading alts today really nicely in the group. A couple nice trades today, both on the long and short front. But personally, I wouldn't be taking fresh longs into this region just yet. If anything, it's probably quite a nice place to take some shorts. In terms of long alts, you want to really be focusing on the top gainers, because right now these are continuing to perform. You'll find that often the coins that were strong yesterday are going to still be strong today. Is very rare right now that these pumps up during the day are full retracing as they were doing a couple months back. We are seeing some sustaining moves from altcoins, which is great. Probably some of the best conditions we've had in a while, despite the majors chopping. You know, you've got coins like Hype performing really well. Monad is looking pretty good. Unfortunately, I wanted to get a sweep under 0.17 on Monad, sorry, but I didn't get that. Watch it for a reclaim here. If Monad can lock in a reclaim above 0.12, fairly sure it can go back to sort of range high. Pump Fund also trading really well at the moment, but a little bit of a reversal area here. So let's move over to EXO, quickly take a look at EXO, and then we'll wrap up the video. So yeah, a bit of aggressive longing coming in here into the highs. Let's take a look at what the ETH flow is. Let it load quickly. Obviously quite a balanced environment right now. A lot of longing going into the highs here on ETH. Really aggressive positioning from ETH over the past week or so, actually. Lots of aping going on into the highs. I'm actually going to watch for a bit of a trap here into this prior weekly VWAP. Like I said, this structure is something I tend to short, so I'm going to keep an eye on that. But I'm probably going to wrap the video up there. In terms of like my outlook, I still believe that we are close to a local bottom from Bitcoin. If we aren't close to a local bottom on Bitcoin over the next sort of week or so, I think we could be in for quite a grueling bear market, with this Bitcoin gold chart trading all the way back down to, you know, January 23 lows. When we look at the silver against Bitcoin chart, this is almost doing the same thing, right? We can see this is almost trading towards 22 into 23 bear market lows, which is pretty insane, but really good support there, right? In the grand scheme of things, it's good support. I'm personally looking to get very long on Bitcoin soon into 84 to 87k, and failure to hold there, then we're going to see a breakdown much lower. That's going to wrap it up for today's. That'll do it for today's market review. Keep an eye on my YouTube. Got another video coming out later this week, along with streaming on Twitch tomorrow if you are around for that midday UTC 7 a.m. EST. See you guys around. Have a good week. Bye bye.